So today we're going to have DeGate as our guest. A person from DeGate will appear in a few minutes. He's having trouble entering to the event. DeGate recently launched a bounty with Immunify of $1.11 million. We'll talk about it um, eventually as well. Just mentioning the typical channels, the BBP update, where you guys can see any change on assets in scope and other stuff, and new bug bounties channel as well.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, there was some technical difficulties. My apologies, Gonzalo.
No worries, no worries. Hey, I guess we can get started. So yeah, first of all, can you briefly present yourself?
Yep. I'm Alvin. I'm an evangelist with DeGate. DeGate, of course, is a decentralized exchange, order book exchange, built with ZK technology, and we're so happy to be partnering with Immunify to do a bug bounty recently, and it's been a great experience. So we have a $1.11 million bug bounty with Immunify, and we'd love to hear more from the community and say hello. I do want to say that as an evangelist, I don't necessarily represent the full and all the views of the DeGate DAO, but I'll do my best to share my perspectives and answer any questions. Thank you.
Very well. So just to start, can you explain what is DeGate?
Yep. So I think that some of you might be familiar, but I'll just do a very quick explanation. So in the DeGate is essentially built using a zero knowledge rollup, and it's application specific. So it's an application specific zero knowledge rollup on Ethereum, and that enables the DeGate DEX, which is essentially an order book DEX that allows you to trade easy and sleep easy. So if you think about it, it's a little bit like say Binance, but except it's decentralized. So you have self-custody of your funds, but it looks and feels like trading on Binance with very low fees of about, right now with the current gas, maybe 10 to 20 cents. So we just launched mainnet beta, and which is closed to whitelist, but it's going to be probably launching to the wider public very soon. Yep, and that's a very quick introduction. I love to take any hear any responses as well.
Sure. That's interesting that you are an app specific rollup. Are there a lot of app specific rollups on Ethereum?
Yeah. So I think the closest that comes to us is probably Loopring. Some of you might be familiar if you're in the Ethereum ecosystem with Loopring. And that's the one that's the most similar. Is a zero knowledge rollup on Ethereum. Some people call it layer 2, but it's usually more designed for the DEX itself, Loopring DEX. And I think that another similar idea is DYDX, which runs on Cosmos.
Okay, very well. Anybody's free to ask any questions, by the way, on the chat. I'll just keep asking mine as well. So why did DeGate opt with being its own rollup? Why not, for example, launching, I don't know, an Optimism? And as a follow-up, why a ZK rollup specifically?
That's a great question, Gonzalo. So as to my best knowledge, I think that is actually for application specific zero knowledge rollups, the main advantage is probably that you don't have to worry about being general purpose. So that means that you can do a lot of essentially is like cheaper and faster. So we're looking at about 800 gas or even less for one transaction. So that works out to, I don't know what the current price is, but a few cents to maybe 10, 20 cents. And so that's one of the cheapest around. So one of the things we know that traders want is low fees, but yet secure. So this makes a lot of sense from that point of view. As to why zero knowledge and not optimistic, now we know that there are many different kinds of rollups, but the two major ones are optimistic rollup and zero knowledge rollup. And as to why zero knowledge, well, zero knowledge, there's quite a few advantages. One of which is that it's faster to deposit and withdraw funds from into the zero knowledge rollup compared to optimistic rollup, which typically when you withdraw funds from an optimistic rollup, it takes a long time. Like, well, I think we're talking 7 days for Arbitrum. So that's one of the major differences. And secondly, I think that zero knowledge is probably a lot is probably well recognized to be faster and cheaper as well.
Okay, very well. So regarding this bug bounty, why $1.11 million? Why did DeGate opt with having such a high bug bounty?
I think it speaks to two things. Again, I don't speak entirely for the DAO. From my perspective as an evangelist, I think that there are probably two factors. One is, if you think about it, I think Immunify often says, is why would anyone want to get a white hat bug bounty rather than just doing the black hat hacking? Well, one reason is that it's clean. The money is clean, so it's kind of like buy insurance. So if DeGate thinks that there's going to be a huge amount of value locked into DeGate, into DeGate itself, so then it makes sense to have a high value of the bug bounty. So 1 million is right about right, I think. So that to protect, like, say, $100 million of value, or maybe even more. So that's, I think, one thing that makes a lot of sense from that perspective. Secondly is DeGate's kind of slogan is trade easy, sleep easy. So it makes sense that security is one of the most important, if not the most important priority. So there are a lot of things that go into security, obviously, but one is audits and bug bounties is one major piece that ensures that the security of the system. So it totally makes sense. I think we're looking at it's not the most amount on Immunify, obviously. I think that MakerDAO has 10 million and Optimism has 2 million, but it's a substantial amount, and it speaks to the seriousness of the project.
Yeah, for sure. And are the assets in scope all testnet assets? I know you recently launched mainnet. Do we have mainnet assets in scope already?
Yeah, I think that I have to ask and the other evangelist or the other teammate about that, but I do believe it's testnet currently. Yeah.
Okay, very well. And are you having plans in eventually going to mainnet assets?
Yeah, I think that's definitely under consideration, but I don't know the full details of that one.
Okay. And what is the sort of code that one is going to find when diving into DeGate? So is it Solidity or what is it?
I I think it's Solidity, yes.
Okay, it's just because you also have circuits or stuff like that.
So it's mostly it's the smart contract and the circuit are the main ones that have the high payout.
I see.
The circuit,
the smart contracts that are deployed on Ethereum.
Yep.
Okay. Now, for our hackers, how do they specifically dive into the gates to try and find bugs? And what would be the way for white hats to test, to test POCs against the DeGate protocol?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Wondering if you have any thoughts on how to more rapidly dive into the DeGate protocol, specifically for our bug hunters, and also what would be the way for white hats to test any bugs, any vulnerabilities that they might find. So, how to test these proof of concept against DeGate.
Yeah, I'm not technical, so I can't answer like to the technical details. So it's just like any other immunify bug bounty. I believe it's the proof of concept, and you just submit it. So I wish I could answer in more detail. I think I have to ask my colleague on that and get back to you. Yep.
Sure, no worries. So I guess one could test out against the test smart contracts or the testnet smart contracts in your local environment. My question would be more um, on the application specific logic, whether one could run that logic or the roll up on your local environment, or if there are external services that need to, for example, verify the zero knowledge proofs and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
you're not certain about it.
yeah. I'm afraid I have to like collect those questions.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
No worries.
I'm more focused on the evangelist part, so I'm not super familiar with like the full details of that. I'm afraid. Yeah.
Sure. No problem. So let me see if there's any questions. Uh, Praise Sun here asks, what are the factors that defines the price of bounty in terms of security? Maybe a question specifically for DeGate. What would you say?
Yeah. So the critical vulnerability is the most important one. Things that lead to loss of funds, for example, those are really crucial. So those I believe is the payouts $1 million. For further details, can check out the page. But like basically, the $1 million is like the big one for things that can lead to loss of funds, broadly speaking.
Okay, very well. So you're building this interesting app-specific rollup. So I also wanted to ask, what do you envision to be the future of the Ethereum ecosystem and of blockchains overall? Because you could have the choice of, as we've mentioned, of deploying on a existing rollup already. You are basically deploying your own app specific rollup. Do you think that we're going to see these sort of solutions often in the Ethereum ecosystem and in other blockchain ecosystems as well?
Yeah, I think that so I think that there are kind of two questions here. One is the future of Ethereum ecosystem, and the two is the roll-up space and specifically app-specific roll-ups. Obviously, for the first, super optimistic about Ethereum ecosystem. I think that DeGate, for example, is a firm believer in Ethereum first. So building on Ethereum and creating an app-specific rollup, which is conceptually a layer two. So if you look at the history, Ethereum tends to be very kind of slower in terms of development, but slow and steady and very, very secure. And I think that every day that passes, it just goes to show that Ethereum is doing the right thing by by laying the foundations right. So that's one. Number two is regarding the whole roll up space. I think with EIP 444 coming up and like the proof that Arbitrum can survive as a viable system. I think that the future is very bright for layer twos or roll ups in general, and specific rollups. I believe they will have a role to play in the future, in the Ethereum ecosystem, definitely. So in terms of zero knowledge, we obviously Vitalik is a huge fan of zero knowledge, and we think it's the future as well. So I think that DeGate is well positioned in the by being early into the zero knowledge game, so to speak.
Okay, interesting. I have here a question from Sentient. Any areas within your protocol design process that makes you nervous, or more specifically, are there any uncertainties that directly affect your protocol you need more eyes to look at?
Honestly, like as far as I can tell, as far as I know, DeGate went through 3 security audits, and from what I hear from other DAO members, or I think that everything seems to be working very well. So nothing specific of area of focus. I do note that since mainnet beta was launched, and so essentially it's live right now with live funds being traded. So far, things have been quite good, and I do believe that we have had no payouts on Immunify so far, despite the $1.1 million bug bounty. So, short answer is I don't think there's any particular focus, but of course, I think that nothing is perfect. So we'd love for everyone to have a look.
Okay, so you don't have a specific thing where you think would be riskier or like a bigger potential point of failure?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Question here as well. How soon do you respond back? Sahan is asking. How soon do you respond back to a reported bug?
How soon do we respond back? I don't know the exact details inside the page itself of when we have to respond, but I suspect it will be super fast. The team works very fast, so I suspect it'll be like, what's the normal time? Like faster than normal, maybe 24 hours or less.
Okay.
What is the normal time, Gonzalo, for like responding?
I'm not sure. Some projects might take a while, but others not. But one can also see that, by the way, Sahan. One can check that on our Immunify page. When you see the various bug bounties, you can check the average response time of each project. And Pepin is mentioning that the average response time is 2 days, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, so we'll strive to be better than average or in the top 10%. No promises, but we'll try to get back like within a day. But again, like no promises on that front.
Good, very well. Let me see here. Question. What if you find, this is a question from Pax at Bellum. What if you found a bug that is not in scope but have a critical impact? Is it eligible for a reward?
That's a great question. Again, I don't speak for the DAO, but from what I understand, I think it would definitely be eligible for reward because it's the spirit of the law that matters, not exactly like the exact fine print. So if you do find a critical vulnerability and it's not within scope, but it's proven to have a huge impact, I think we would love to talk. Please don't go anywhere else. You can come talk to the main team, and you can reach out through Immunify. I think that in the spirit of it, I'm sure there will be a reward.
Yeah. Also, Pepin is mentioning that you guys are subscribed to Primacy of Impact. We have here already linked by Pepin an article that we have on what the Primacy of Impact is, but in essence, exactly what you said, right? That you take more seriously the impact on the protocol than the set in stone rules of the bug bounty program, which is cool.
Yeah, and we're huge fans of. I mean, I just want to say that having had some experience reading through the Immunify and like the Twitter and the YouTube or some videos, I just want to say that I think that Immunify is thinking from first principles, and a lot of the things that Immunify says has strong logic to it. So I really want to congratulate you on that. So I agree with the primacy of impact. I didn't know it was called that, but I assumed that was the case.
Yeah, thank you very much. One interesting thing that I keep hearing you also is that you mentioned that you could ask the DAO a little bit more, or you're not certain about it. Is the DAO the one that is basically having the or that has put the bug bounty program at Immunify?
Yeah, so the DAO is technically like whoever holds all the tokens. So there was a token distribution event on Balancer, and you know like a community hosts the DAO. So technically, the token holders will decide. But essentially, yeah. So it's the DAO that created. So this working with Immunify. On my end, I focus more on like evangelizing. So letting people know about like I personally, you know, like I think DeGate is a great project. So I focus more on like for example, conferences or like talking to people and like and getting people excited about the whole thing. And I'm not technical as you can see, but I've been a trader myself, and I just enjoy good products.
Cool. So I don't know if we have any more questions. I'll let a few minutes go by to see if there's more question. I'll just ask whether you have any final thoughts or remarks, or what do you see what the future of DeGate will be and of Web3 in general.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, so once again to reiterate, thanks for coming. DGate is trade easy, sleep easy. So trade easy means low fees. It feels like a centralized exchange. In terms of the user experience, it's fast, it's smooth, it's cheap. Um, and trade sleep easy because you have self custody. You have things like Immunify bot bounty to make sure that everything is as safe as possible, and you know first in class security I believe, and things like no admin key, which means that once the code is deployed it cannot be changed, unless you use the v2, etc., etc. It's somewhat similar to like best in class projects like Uniswap. So in short, trade easy, sleep easy. It's like a really, I think it's a cool product. You can check it out on mainnet right now. It's closed mainnet beta, so if you want, you can apply for a whitelist spot and check it out and put some funds in and start trading if you would like. For the whole future of Web3, obviously super optimistic. I think we're at the beginning. Not just in terms of I think right now like most of the applications are in finance, and in the future I think it will extend to anything that many things that require some kind of trust. And I think that super optimistic about Web3 in general. The major issue is how Web3 interfaces with Web2 and the traditional financial system. That's the major hurdle that we have to solve in the next 10 years.
Okay, very cool. Thank you very much for that. I'll just ask one last question here from Sentient. What type of bugs have you paid so far? Though I think you mentioned that you think you haven't paid for bugs yet, right? And
Don't believe so. Don't believe we're paid out yet. Not by choice. Yeah.
Okay. And will you disclose bug reports submitted, those paid and closed? Beanstalk does that and gives so much value for white hats to not focus on same attack vectors. Basically, this is the point of Sentient.
Right. That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer. Yeah.
Also, Sentient is mentioning that I guess you have paid bug reports.
Oh, I
you
have?
have there on the dash on the
Oh, really?
on the
Okay.
website. Yeah.
My apologies. Last time I checked, we had not.
No
Yeah.
problem. No problem.
Last time I checked, we had not. How much was it? Sorry about that. Yeah.
So from what Sentient is saying, I can look that up, but he's saying
Yeah.
that you have so far 500K paid through Immunify,
Oh, really?
which is
No, no,
good.
no, no, no. No, 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 no. I don't think so. Let me double check. But no, don't think so. But let me double check on that. Yeah. Not yet.
No,
No.
no, not 500K. No, just $500.
$500. Yeah.
It's,
My
it's
apologies. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
I thought we had not paid yet, but totally happy to fulfill the obligations. It
No,
was
no, no,
a real a real bug.
very
Pepin,
well.
do you know the answer to the second question? I think the second question was, will we disclose? I think that I'm not sure of the details of that one. Will we disclose
Okay, I
the
guess this is a more of a decision on the part of the project. Hence the question
right,
to
right,
you. Yeah.
right. I think it's definitely in consideration.
Okay. Okay. Very well. Don't worry, Sentient. Okay. So if there's no other questions, then thank you very much, Alvin, for coming by.
Thank you, Gonzalo. Really appreciate your time and I think Immunify is a great platform. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers, everybody.
Take care.